or even though you read it and you were able to read all of it, but you couldn't understand? Do you remember a time?
Time?
Maybe you experienced this.
I don't comprehend.
So just try to think of a time where somebody said something to you. You heard what they said, but you couldn't understand, right? So I'm trying to think of an example. For me, maybe recently for my driver's license, I asked my Japanese friend if he would go to the driving school with me to help me sign up for lessons. And maybe my Japanese was correct. Correct grammar, correct vocabulary. But maybe I said it in a way that was strange for a native speaker. So although he knew what I was saying, he couldn't comprehend what I was asking. He didn't understand what I was asking him to do. When it's so simple, just please go with me, right? But because, like you said, there's context. Maybe I said it weird. Maybe I said it really formally. So he wasn't fully understanding what I was asking and why, right? So he said, "Oh, I'll call and see if you can get a discount." And then I couldn't understand, why is he calling about a discount? I just need him to go with me and speak Japanese, right? So we both were understanding the words, understanding the grammar, but we couldn't comprehend what each other was saying, right? This kind of situation. So in English, have you had this experience? Can you think of something?
So yeah, we are not same goal or purpose. That's why so misunderstand and comprehension. Right? No? No, not that.
But misunderstand. Misunderstand is good. Yeah,
right?
yeah, right? Yeah. So there was just a lack of comprehension. You couldn't understand the purpose.
Yeah.
Right? Even though you understood what they were saying.
But what did the focus to do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
But talking about that.
Yeah. Like
right?
Why? Yes, exactly. Sometimes it happens too with me or with Ai-chan when we're talking. We'll randomly say something.
Yeah, sometimes.
And then we're missing context.
Yeah.
So
in lost.
Yeah.
in lost the talk.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So comprehension is so important. So I have a video here. There's a really smart guy who he is what they call a polyglot. So he can speak multiple languages and he can speak them very well. And he talks about comprehension. And his advice is a little bit strange. He says to improve comprehension, don't try to understand.
Okay.
Right? Don't try to understand.
Don't try to understand.
Yeah.
Just
maybe
hear.
Yes, right? So and it's funny, like with some of my students, there's a problem where they try so hard to understand every single word that what I'm saying is so simple. But because there's one word that they can't understand, they're just focusing on that one word. And then I'll even say the same question again with simpler words, and they can understand this, but they still can't continue or move forward because they're so stuck on just this one word. And don't worry about it. You will learn eventually, right?
All right. Okay. Just listen.
So here's this guy.
Experienced language learners accept uncertainty, accept that they don't fully understand, and yet they keep going. Hi there, Steve Coffin here today, and today I want to talk about comprehension. To understand more, don't try to understand too much. And I'll explain. But first of all, if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, click on the bell for notifications. And if you follow me on a podcast, please leave a review. I do appreciate it. So, listening comprehension, reading comprehension. Comprehension to me is the most important goal in language learning. If we understand well, we will eventually speak well. Eventually, as we have more opportunity to speak. If we don't understand very well, we can't have meaningful conversations. We can't enjoy movies. We can't enjoy books. We can't do all of the things that are going to improve our skills in the language. Of course, we all want to speak well, but we need to speak a lot in order to speak well. But that comprehension is so key. And I know.
Right. So he talks about if we can't understand well, we can't listen to music. We can't watch movies. We can't read, right? There's so much that's missing from these things that will make us better speakers or that will improve our language.
Yeah, usually.
At our base.
Yeah.
We're missing the understanding.
Yeah, usually listen to the music. I completely understand the lyric.
You do?
Yeah.
You can?
No, never.
Yeah.
So by Japanese or English also.
Both.
Yeah, both. So sometimes they have the subtitle, right? Then I understand. But it's difficult to listen.
Yeah. No, music especially because music does not use grammar.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
They're just making rhymes, words that sound similar, and throwing it out there. And if you can fully understand, it means something. But if you can't understand, if you can't hear the nuance or find the nuance, right? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, he says it's so important, and it's true because it's the same when you watch some movie or TV show in a foreign language, and if you're using the subtitles, maybe the movie or the scene, it's not the same as it would be in the native language because the subtitles kind of change the meaning, right? Even though it's a correct translation, sometimes it changes what they're actually saying. And I've noticed this with Japanese movies as I've been learning Japanese. So I'll read the subtitles and it's wrong. It's not what they've said in Japanese. And I think what they've said in Japanese makes me feel this, but if I were to just read it, it wouldn't be the same, right? So we're losing some understanding. Right?
A lot of people struggle with comprehension. So I want to give you a hint, a tip about comprehension, and that is don't try too hard to understand. In other words, accept the fact that as you are progressing in the language, there are a lot of times when you are not going to understand, and you still have to keep going. And don't try to nail down what it is you're studying, say a lesson. Accept the fact that it's 60%, 40% comprehension, and move on to the next. And I often mention Manfred Spitzer, the German neuroscientist, who said the brain needs repetition, but the brain needs novelty.
Do you know novelty?
Novelty.
Right, so he says the brain needs repetitions. If we think in language learning we need repetition, that's flashcards, right? Just reading the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. But this neuroscientist also says that we need novelty, which is new, right? We need something new. We need repetition, but we need it in a new way, right? So if you learn vocabulary words, you're not going to remember if they're just on your flashcards. You need to see those words in a news article, in a movie, in a song. You need to experience the same word, right? Repetition, but in a new environment or a new situation, right? This is novelty. Novelty is something that's new, something that's exciting, right?
Something new.
Yeah.
Something new happens.
Novelty, right? It feels exciting because it's new. Yeah.
I was talking to my brother, who I gave an iPad to and was working on Link, and he says, I always forget. I study this sentence and I keep on forgetting. And I thought to myself, yeah, you're not supposed to try to totally understand and remember that sentence. You're supposed to just allow the language to kind of enter your brain and let the brain get used to it. And so my brother said, it's a bit like mowing a lawn. If the grass is high, then you have to set the lawnmower at a higher level in order to have an easier first pass through mowing the lawn. The second time through, you can set the blades a little lower. If you try to force yourself to push that lawnmower into very high grass, you're not going to get there. It's going to be very hard work, and you won't be able to get the job done depending on how long the grass is. Now, in theory, if you have to mow the lawn twice, you would think it's going to take you twice as long. But if in fact there's just too much resistance and you can't mow the lawn, you're not going to get the job done. So,
right. So that's the same idea. He's basically just giving an analogy about repetition, right? We have to do it more than once, but right, needing novelty. So talking about mowing the lawn. Do you know mow? Mow. To mow, right?
Mow.
To cut the grass. Yeah, right. And then the lawn is like in your front yard, right? Our grass.
Lawn.
Yeah. So to mow the lawn, right? So he says if the grass is so high and you're trying to just mow the lawn in one time, you won't be able to go, right? You're going to get stuck because the grass is too high. You're going to break the machine. It's going to be way too much effort. You'll probably quit, right? But if you use, I don't know, some setting where, maybe my example, the grass is too high, but some example where you raise the level of the lawnmower, so it's easier to pass through, right? You can at least cut half off, right?
Then more easy. Right?
Then when you come back and go again, you'll be able to progress, right? So yes, you have to do it twice, but you're able to finish. Whereas if you try to do everything in one time, you won't be able to pass, right?
Yeah.
It's too difficult.
More than 2 times.
Yeah, maybe.
Or more times, several times.
Like maybe you'll have to first come and cut the grass.
Yeah.
This thing. You know, this kind of thing.
Yeah. The first,
then you come back with the machine.
Yeah, the machine, the final.
Yeah, and then you have this thing too. I don't know what it's called. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then you just get the little pieces that are left by the sidewalk or something. Right?
Yeah, it's final step.
Yeah, right? This is like you're enhancing the last bit. So it's a really good analogy for language learning because it's so true. You have to, maybe I even had a wrong idea. My idea of language learning, I thought, was like building a house. I think this one is so much better because my idea of building a house was, I thought, in order to be a good language learner, you need to have a solid foundation, which this is true. You know, it is true, but not to the extent that I believed it to be, because I thought if you have a weak foundation and then you build a house on top of it, if this cracks, then your house will fall down, right? So I do think there's a balance, right? Where if we just push through too quickly and then our foundation is too weak, in the future our house will fall, right? So it has to be done meticulously with great detail, right?
Oh, it's far easier, and I've had this experience, and I'll show you the picture of my lawn and my lawnmower and how I adjust it. And it's much easier for me, particularly we've had a lot of rain. I haven't been able to mow the lawn. And so when I go in there, I have a first pass at a higher level, and then I have a second pass at a lower level. Every pass, I pick up a little bit more. It's the same with the content that I learn from, listen to, read. First time I go through, I don't fully understand it. I may listen a second time. I may move on to other lessons. Then I come back. And even on something as basic as the mini stories, I always pick up something the second, third, fourth time through.
What is link to?
I think it's his company. He has a company where he teaches different languages.
Easily, but I'm getting a few more blades of grass. And in that way, we will gradually enable our brains to get used to the language. Don't force yourself to try to understand if you can't understand. Move on to new material, bringing in new words, bringing in new context, some of which, again, which you will understand, some of which you won't understand. I think it's very important that we have that sort of an attitude. I've said in other videos, experienced language learners accept uncertainty, accept that they don't fully understand, and yet they keep going. Push yourself forward, and then you can come back again for a second pass with the lawnmower. But I think very often the attempt to nail things down, to fully understand, is a major obstacle to comprehension, whether it be listening comprehension or reading comprehension. And the two do reinforce each other, as does the study of vocabulary. The goal, of course, is to understand everything, or as much as possible. But before we get to that perfectly mown lawn, we have to make quite a few passes. And so we should be easy on ourselves and not be too demanding, not expect perfect comprehension. And if we keep moving forward, we will eventually have better comprehension, understand more, and if we have good comprehension, we will eventually have good speaking skills. So, thank you for listening, and I have spoken before about comprehension.
Right? Yeah. So, it's all a cycle.
Is he the teacher
I don't think he teaches
language or something?
I don't think he teaches anymore. I think he created his company and he used to be a teacher.
Rinkyu.
Yeah.
Rinkyu company, he created this.
Yeah, so I think he's now like maybe not retired, but he just does YouTube videos now. Right? I think he just does YouTube. But I really like to hear his opinion because he's successful. Right? He can speak Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Spanish. Yeah. Yeah.
How many languages?
So he can speak many languages. I do think Japanese is one of his higher level languages because he lived here for 9 years.
So how should I find him?
If you want to find him on YouTube, his name is Steve or Lingo Steve.
Steve. Lingo Steve.
Yeah, Lingo.
Lingo. Steve. Lingo Steve English or Japanese. This one. Lingo Steve Japanese.
Maybe that's just an interview with him. But he has many videos on learning languages in general, but all his videos are in English. So he gives really great advice.
Lingo Steve English. Lingo すごいね。Lingo Steve Japanese English Greek Chinese Korean Spanish German French Arabic Russian Mandarin Portuguese.
Yeah.
So this one, right?
He's very successful. Yeah. Right? So, and I think it's funny because this perfect, like has to be perfect mentality is very much so kind of Japanese culture, where I feel like a lot of Japanese students lack confidence in their English, even though their English is a lot better than they think. Right? They base a lot of their abilities on test scores and stuff like that. But it all comes down to just comprehension, right? And I say this to Ai-chan too a lot because her comprehension is very high. So even though maybe she can't understand some vocabulary words that I'm using, or she can't understand some grammar that I'm using, she can always comprehend more than others, especially in like the group lesson.
It's a ability.
Yeah,
right?
It's a skill, right? It's a comprehension skill. It's very important, right? So yeah.
Yeah, so just now, so I'm teaching the Spanish-san. So
how is it? How's her comprehension?
So I have to be more comprehend.
You
Yeah.
comprehend what she's saying.
No. So I focus
Mm.
to what she want to say.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see. Oh, yeah.
It's teacher needs more comprehension skills.
Oh. Yeah,
Right?
everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's difficult too because it's if we can understand that comprehension is key and we can get rid of our kind of pre-decided like assessment that if we don't understand something we fail, right? So it's mainly about confidence too, with when you're speaking, when you don't understand something, we tend to panic, right? But if you don't panic, if you just keep listening,
of course,
you can understand.
Yeah.
But especially for me, like in Japan, like if I'm out buying something and somebody says something to me, maybe I panic.
Yeah. So I'm teaching Spanish for Japanese through English.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So we always speak English to teach Japanese. But sometimes I couldn't understand the word English and Japanese. So it's mixed.
Yeah.
Then so I couldn't understand what she's saying by English or Japanese.
Yeah.
Then it's same as Spanish-san to me.
Yeah.
So she asked me, is that Japanese or English?
Yeah, I understand too. And maybe that's hard too with like English not being both of your first languages. So maybe she has an accent and maybe you have a little of an accent.
Yes.
To hear the difference, it's hard. Sometimes I can understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Today it's very difficult to say squirrel.
Yeah,
that's good though. Squirrel.
Yeah. The animal.
Animal, right?
Yeah.
It's squirrel. But she said something about different.
Okay. Was she talking about a different animal maybe?
No. It's squirrel. So lisu, right?
Yeah.
Lisu. Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult too, and even using pictures when we were trying to get specific. Yeah. But what were you guys talking about today about squirrels?
So I teach about the seasons.
Oh, good.
So what's your favorite season?
Yeah.
Then she said, I favorite season is autumn. Then I asked why. Then she said, autumn has beautiful red leaves. Then she likes red and yellow color. And the garden has many cute squirrels.
But she said it's strange. That's good. In Japanese, did she respond to you in Japanese?
Yeah.
Oh, so good. But she didn't know the risu.
Yeah, she knows.
Yes.
She knows.
Now, but before.
Yeah. She knows about the Japanese squirrel in Japanese.
So what led her to have to use English? Why was she trying to say squirrel in English?
So she knows risu, but forgot.
In English?
Yeah, in Japanese. Yeah.
So she was asking.
Yeah. Then so very stress to what should I say?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah. I think too, like, I'm trying to think, what was an example from yesterday? I asked a question. Maybe, for example, like, what is McDonald's supposed to sell, right? What is McDonald's supposed to sell? Right? So in this sentence, let's say you don't know. Do you know supposed to?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is McDonald's supposed to sell? So let's say you do not understand supposed to. You don't know what this means. So then I say, oh, don't mind. What is McDonald's? What do they sell? What should they sell? What should they sell, right? But if we hyper focus on this and not understanding what this means, then they can't answer my question. What should McDonald's sell? Right? What do you expect to get when you go to McDonald's? If I go to McDonald's
to get the hamburgers.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So what if I want if I get a pizza? That's weird, right? They're not supposed to sell pizzas.
Yeah. Right? So the Starbucks cafe, they don't sell coffee. So they are selling the atmosphere, the place, third place.
Yeah. Yeah. Main concept.
Main concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. Concept.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cafes, they're selling a third space.
Yeah.
Yes. Right? It's good. So, so what are some ways that you think you can improve maybe your comprehension with English and then Supani's comprehension with Japanese? What's something that you can do? Do you have any idea? All right, think about what Lingo Steve here said. What's his advice? What can you do?
He said,
you don't have to remember exactly.
No.
Just an idea. What's something you can do in class?
The feeling.
Okay.
What she want to say.
Okay.
Yeah. Or
what kind of practice? Think of
practice.
Yeah.
So the teachers had the teacher's book. Then something the EX. For example.
Example.
For example. So text had many for example.
Oh, okay.
Right? Then just a sentence. Easy sentence. Then if student say something difficult. So I organized to say easy sentence.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah, that totally helps with comprehension, right? Yeah. Also, too, my maybe my number one recommendation for you is to find something that you enjoy doing in English that you can do again and again, but it will offer you this novelty, right? So, do you enjoy news? I feel like you don't have so many hobbies outside of work, except for rugby. But that's Japanese, right? So can you think of some kind of hobby, something that you might enjoy that you could do in English?
for hobby.
Kind of. I mean, it's for studying, right? It's for improving.
Mm-hmm.
So Steve, and then also my number one recommendation for improving comprehension is to read. But if you hate reading, then you have to think about something else that you can do.
So reading book,
Anything.
reading something.
Reading, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the number one way, and I know so many people who it's kind of like this battle between the introverted people, right? So people who like to stay inside, they're not so social, then the extroverted people, right?
Outgoing.
Yeah. So these people believe output is the best way to speak a language. Then you have to just talk, just do it. These people believe input is the best, right? So there's this kind of battle, but at the core of all of it, truly, to learn a language, to improve a language past a certain point, reading is the best, right? If you become proficient at speaking, right? So you can communicate in English speaking, right? So for you to improve past this point, you have to read. You either have to read or you have to only speak English with academic professors, right? Other businessmen. Like you can't speak English with just random travelers in the house, right? Because you're already at the same language, right? As like just conversation, casual conversation. So reading news, reading articles, reading anything that you're interested in. Right? A book.
I'm good, not good as reading.
But that's that, right? So as soon as you get into it, your English will skyrocket from that moment on.
Skyrocket.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll try.
Yeah. It's hard to say with people who are at a beginner level. Reading can be discouraging if it's too difficult, so you have to be careful. But I believe for your level, because you're such a high, you can. It's called Kailie, right?
So I changed the iPhone language.
Yeah,
I try.
Yeah. You can give it a try. Yeah, and try to read news articles. If you hear something about Japan, right? So I always go to this NHK World News, right?
Good.
They have all of these English articles. So if there's something that you want to learn about, try to read it in English. If there's some self-help, right? What months ago, you said something about how do I improve confidence? You can find a how to improve confidence book in English, right? So it's something that you want to learn, but you're also challenging yourself by having it be in English.
Yeah, that's nice. So that's why, so cell phone using every day, every time. So change language, it's good for me. Then, so tonight lesson about the athlete. So I recommend to these things to become the setting in the English. It's more
read constantly because it's repetition. Right?
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same with like I play my video games in Japanese.
Good.
So it's very difficult, and I'm tired, and sometimes I don't read.
Yeah, I do before many times, several times, but it's complicated.
No, it gets frustrating when you need to fix something. I understand.
Yeah.
It's not the best.
Yeah.
If you don't, but if you commit to it, then you will learn the words, right? Just like, so I do all of my banking in Japan. So like my banking app it has an English setting, but there's still many things on the app that are still in Japanese. So I just have to learn what they mean. And then I'm seeing them every day, right? So
yeah, good. That's why every day we can use.
No, exactly. So find something that you can enjoy.
Good.
And just keep reading, right? So for me, right, I'm using those children's books. I think you've seen before, right?
Yeah.
It's messy on me. Sorry.
Mm.
Yeah. So the children books for me, it worked. That was my level.
Mm.
Now my level's starting to go a little bit up. There's lots of resources online. I need to start reading news because my language, my vocabulary is not increasing because I'm hyper focusing on getting through the
Good.
children's books, right?
Good.
But I need to move on,
Good.
like Steve says.
Steve. How did you find him, Steve?
Just on YouTube, right? Trying to learn
Mm,
Japanese.
nice.
And all of my YouTube,
Good.
my shows, my recommendations are language learning or exercise.
how
to get fit.
I see. You are interested.
That's my only, I think if I
Mhm.
click on YouTube, it's all about diet, fitness, or Japanese.
Good. Mm. Nice.
Well, also recently Sailor Moon because my kid's class.
Good.
Don't memorize the
Yeah, I check Steve.
He's great.
Ringo Steve.
Yeah, Steve Kaufman is his name.
Good.
Do you have any questions?
No. Why did you choose that candy? No ramen. Do you like that taste?
So yes.
Do you like
when I
that
first
taste?
when I first came to Japan, I got sick. I asked somebody to buy me. I just said, please give me cough drops. I'm coughing. I can't sleep. So somebody bought me these.
That works.
Yeah, and they're so delicious. I want to just
really?
eat them like
Really?
candy.
Oh.
Why?
Why?
Yeah. So now I buy these myself.
Yeah, the package is not delicious, right?
Yeah, lots of plants.
Mm.
No, I think it looks delicious. I like plants.
Really? Herbs.
Yeah. It's like, do you want to try one?
No, thank you.
Yeah, probably putting germs around. But yeah, good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have to do our best with comprehension.
Good. Let's take a photo.
With me sick.
Comprehension. Hi, cheese.
Thank you.
Thank you.